In this video, I will analyze Scott Ritter on why Egypt and Jordan won't take Palestinian refugees, Hamas outsmarting Israel and their three main objectives, why Hezbollah and Iran haven't gone all in yet against Israel, and managed escalation. Let's go.
No one can do it better.
So do you think Egypt's position and Jordan's position to refuse the displacement of Palestinians through the whole thing was, in a way, they did the right thing to do? That was the right thing to do, just to allow for a Palestinian state in the future? Because if that was the plan of Israel, to push them all out, and they said no, we're not gonna allow that, so maybe it works for the bigger plan.
I'm not going to give Egypt and Jordan the benefit of the doubt, because neither Egypt nor Jordan have ever expressed sympathy for a Palestinian state. They've cooperated with Israel for the continued punishment of the Palestinians. The credit goes to Hamas, who knows the Egyptians and knows the Jordanians better than most. They knew just like they knew how Israel would respond. They could anticipate what Egypt and Jordan would do, and they would use that to their advantage. They knew that Egypt would not open up the gates and allow millions of Gazans to displace there. They knew that Jordan would not allow the Palestinians from Gaza to come to Jordan. This isn't because Egypt and Jordan are sympathetic to the Hamas cause, the exact opposite. Egypt and Jordan are opposed to Hamas. But Hamas, their leadership has been very politically astute, and they knew how Egypt and Jordan would respond. They've used the behavior of Egypt and Jordan against Egypt and Jordan on the benefit of Hamas, just like they used how they knew Israel would overreact to their benefit. So look, Hamas is winning this thing politically. There's been a sea change in global opinion, and it's all because of what Hamas has done.
So it was a master plan after all, like it seems so, till now.
The proof is in the pudding. You never want to count your chickens before they hatch. You don't want to spike the football until you get in the end zone.
Exactly.
So it's too early for Hamas to do a victory dance. But what I would say is that when you look at what the plan appears to be, and remember, Hamas's objectives are very limited. The creation of a Palestinian state. They're not talking about the destruction of Israel. The creation of a Palestinian state, the freedom of 5,000 plus Palestinians held prisoner by Israel, and the restoration of Muslim control over Al-Aqsa Mosque. This is what Hamas is looking to do, to accomplish. These are very achievable objectives. And I believe Hamas is going to achieve all three of them by the time this campaign is done. So it is a genius campaign. They haven't tried to, it's like a space program early on where you say, our very first space launch, we're going to the moon. No, you're not.
I see what you're saying.
Space launch is you're going to go up and come down.
Exactly. One step at a time.
Very realistic.
Yes, one step at a time.
They're very realistic of what they can achieve here. And because they've been realistic about that, they're going to achieve it. And look what they've done. Look what they've done. They have told Hezbollah and Iran, don't intervene.
Awesome, yeah.
Because you see, a larger conflict is not good for Hamas. A larger conflict means that Hamas becomes a minor player in a regional war. And Hamas's goals and objectives are no longer number one priority of the world. It becomes, how do we stop a war with Iran? How do we stop a war with Hezbollah? Those become the priorities. And Hamas doesn't want that to happen. So they have prepared for this long conflict. And they have told Hezbollah and they have told Iran, we don't need you to intervene. Now, what Hezbollah has done, because this is, whether Hamas wants it or not, understand that by creating this geopolitical disruption with Israel, you create problems throughout the Middle East. This is resonating everywhere, in Lebanon, in Iran, in Saudi Arabia, in Egypt, in Jordan, everywhere. Hezbollah has to take into account that they are a resistance organization that has talked openly about supporting Hamas. So Hezbollah needs to manage escalation. There is a desire on many who want Hezbollah to intervene, who believe now is the time for Hezbollah to intervene. Hezbollah can't intervene because it destroys what Hamas is trying to accomplish. But Hezbollah cannot be silent. And so you see this escalation management taking place as both Hezbollah and Israel trade military attacks, but it's designed to relieve the pressure on both Israel and Hezbollah. It's not designed to explode. The same thing with Iran. Iran is managing the pressure relief in Iraq and in Syria with the Shia militias attacking American bases. But neither the United States nor Iran want this to explode into a major war. So it's escalation management, trying to hold back the pressure while everybody focuses on solving the problem that Hamas has created with regard to Palestine.
So when you talk about balancing the attacks on all these players, that means the status quo is what all of them want, and I'm talking about the players like Israel, Iran, Iran's militias, Hezbollah. Why do you want to keep it like that? Why do you enjoy doing this little skirmish everywhere and every now and then? Like, what's the goal after all of that? If the goal is not to destroy the enemy.
Well, again, Hamas's goal is not to destroy the enemy.
That's Hamas. But how about the other ones, like Iran and Iran's militias?
Iran's goal was not to destroy Israel. Iran and Hezbollah were taken by surprise here. They weren't coordinated. Hassan Nasrallah has said that. We weren't told what was happening. We were taken by surprise. It wasn't until October 9th that we could begin to respond to what was happening. But he also said that we talked to Hamas and they said, we have this under control. We have a plan. We have this under control. But there's emotions. Anytime Palestinians and Israelis are engaged in a conflict, especially one where you have overwhelming casualties on the part of the Palestinians, there will be a tremendous amount of outrage amongst the Arab population or amongst the Muslim population. Outrage, and this outrage has to be controlled. You can't make it go away because it exists. So it has to be controlled. And that's what's happening with the attacks on the American bases in Syria and in Iraq. It's being managed. They attack them. We don't overreact. You notice we respond with our own attacks. Then they attack, we respond. The idea is to slow it down, not to allow it to blow up, because if we attacked overwhelmingly, we could end up in a war with Iran. Iran doesn't want a war with the United States. Iran doesn't want a war with Israel. Iran, if everybody recalls, is looking forward to a future of economic prosperity. Iran just made good with Saudi Arabia through a Chinese brokered rapprochement. Iran is looking for a diplomatic solution, not a military solution. Iran is working for a ceasefire in Yemen. Iran is trying to stabilize the situation in Lebanon and in Syria. So Iran's not looking for a fight with Israel. This took them by surprise. So Iran's focus, remember, they joined BRICS. That's not a military alliance. That's an economic alliance.
Right.
They're members of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. That's an economic organization. Iran's future is to break free of the chains of sanctions that have been imposed on Iran, to liberate their economy and allow the Iranian people to prosper. Any government that doesn't look out for the prosperity of their people is a bad government. The Iranian government is not a bad government, and they're not going to sacrifice the prosperity of the Iranian people for a Hamas provocation that Hamas didn't even talk to them about. The same thing with Hassan Nasrallah. Hezbollah is a political party, not just a movement of resistance. It is a political party that is committed to the betterment of Lebanon, the entirety of Lebanon. Why would Hassan Nasrallah throw that all away, all the work that Hezbollah has done in the course of the past decades to legitimize themselves as a political party in the eyes of the Lebanese people, to be seen as a party that is beneficial to all Lebanese? Why would he throw that away by attacking Israel blindly and opening Lebanon up to be destroyed the same way Gaza is being destroyed? That is not good leadership. That is bad leadership. Hassan Nasrallah has never been accused of being a bad leader. He is a good leader. So Hassan Nasrallah, together with Ibrahim Raisi in Iran, are working on escalation management, how to control all of this,
chaos,
proclivity for violence, how to keep it under control so that Hamas can win their victory. If any of these things blow up, I can guarantee you that if Hezbollah comes across the border and invades Israel and there's a major war there, we will not be talking about Gaza anymore. we will not be talking about a Palestinian state. We will be talking about a larger conflict that gets into the existential survival of Israel. And that's a completely different debate. One of the reasons why Hamas can prevail on the global community right now is that they're talking about the creation of a Palestinian state. The world supports this. But the moment this becomes about the destruction of Israel, the world will not support this. So it's imperative to stay focused on the mission.
I'm telling you, what we have going on here inside the military minds of Hamas and the Hamas leaders is high-level intelligence, is high-level genius that I'm seeing with the explanation from Scott Ritter here. So Egypt and Jordan are refusing to allow the Palestinians to enter their countries because that would effectively make them partners in the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians from their traditional homeland and making them accomplices in Israel's plan of that ethnic cleansing. That's amazing. Scott credits Hamas, saying that he thinks that Hamas knew that Egypt and Jordan wouldn't allow the Palestinians in because they have their own things going on. And Hamas's main goals, once again, are the Palestinian state, control over the Al-Aqsa Mosque. That's a big deal. There's just been a lot of angst and violence and things around this Al-Aqsa Mosque. And freeing the prisoners. Because remember, Israel's got thousands of prisoners, women, men, and children from 12 years old and up. They've got them in their jails with no dates, no charges. They're just sitting there. These people are really hostages. So that's very cruel. And I have a video that says hostages of another name. So you can go check that video out. So according to Scott here, he says Hamas told Hezbollah and Iran not to intervene in the war because a larger conflict makes Hamas less important. And that makes perfect sense. I mean, I didn't think of that. I am a political scientist. I didn't think of that. Because then the goals would change. The goal would be, instead of a Palestinian state, the goal would be to stop World War III and the growth of this regional war. So that makes perfect sense. So Hezbollah, what they're doing, their role is just to manage. Hezbollah's role is to manage the escalation. That is the way that they support Hamas. And they're doing it in a way so that things do not explode. This is called escalation management when you're talking about warfare. That way the focus stays on Hamas and the Palestinian state. And remember, the Palestinians are not free people. They need a Palestinian state, badly. These people have been occupied, mistreated. They're in the biggest open-air prison in the world. They call it a concentration camp. And this has been going on for 67 years while everybody goes shopping and goes to dinner. You know what I'm saying? These people have been suffering all this time. So I'm hoping we get some closure on this and these people can just live in peace with human rights, with equal human rights that all humans deserve. That's why they're called human rights. Scott said Hezbollah and Iran were surprised. I don't agree with that. I think that they knew, and I think they're playing their role. I think they loosely knew what was going to happen. There's no way that these large-scale things can happen, without Iran and Hezbollah knowing. That just doesn't make sense there. But Hamas, in my opinion, has outsmarted Israel in a 4D chess type of way. I mean, this is incredible. And Iran doesn't want war. Remember, Iran has their sights on other things. They want to create prosperity for their people. They want to get dollars and agreements and get out from under all of these sanctions that they've been under as long as I can remember. That's why now they're a part of BRICS. These are economic organizations, and BRICS is coming. BRICS is coming to take over the entire world and set the new world order. You can go look at my video on the BRICS nations. Incredible information in that video. See you on the next video. All praises to the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. This is Crown Prince Media. I am the Crown Prince. Let's go.
No one can do it better.